So, FBI, CIA, Alphabet, Glows, whatever you want to call it.
The deep state, as many refer to the gracious alphabet police,
The
and
swamp.
the swamp, the swampy swamp, as Donald Trump would say. Speaking of Donald Trump, um, I guess the narrative is he
Don't
used
you
his
mean, don't you mean Cheeto Hitler?
Cheeto Hitler. Speaking of
Yeah.
Cheeto Hitler, the narrative right now is that he was raided by the FBI for declassified documents accordingly that presidential privilege would assume he was able to declassify that on his own, right? So is
Hmm.
it? uh,
Yeah.
I
They
mean,
they have
I
access
don't
to
really.
whatever they want after they've
they-
served the term, from what I understand.
Yeah, I mean, if that wasn't the case, that you wouldn't have like George Bush's presidential library down in what Crawford, Texas, or whatever,
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
somewhere in Texas. You wouldn't have Obama's presidential library in Chicago. Jimmy Carter has his presidential library. Reagan, while he was still alive, um, he set up his presidential law. These are all documents that they kept and put in their own private library that really nobody can actually go in and access as as
Yeah.
as for the
Unless you're the
people,
FBI
unless you're the FBI.
or the
So
CIA.
or or the NSA or the
Oh,
IRS.
like the sign says, it's theirs.
You will give us the money and you will be happy.
Yeah,
Mm.
so to speak.
We still need to pay for our interest from 100 years ago.
Yeah, those bullets aren't cheap.
Mm-mm. So, but upon that matter though, what's your opinion on the case against Trump and
Oh, this is all just a work. You know, know each other behind
you
the
know
scenes, and they don't care.
oh
This is
they're
all just
probably
show business to give him a push.
it's either gonna it's either that they truly want to help, they know that this is going to give him the mass push to assimilate him onto the grand stage of them all yet again, become
The
president in
Emperor Trump.
2024. Yeah. Or or it's a way to basically kind of finally put him, let him keep his 15 minutes of fame like Donald Trump always wants, but piss off and divide so you can take power, swiftly take more power.
Mm, yeah,
I mean, maybe this regime at this point, maybe the Biden regime is the final presidency,
yeah.
and they're using Trump as the scapegoat to elevate their status and completely create a communist utopian dictatorship in the United States of America. I mean, they could have done that with Trump, but Trump just won't shut the fuck up, right?
Yeah.
He won't keep his mouth shut. The greatest point of Trump was a terrible president. Trump was a fucking tyrant, just like everybody. And Trump escalated every major crisis around the world for the United States, including Iraq and Afghanistan. I mean,
Breaking
even though
resistance.
I mean, really, I mean, yeah, we didn't have boots on the ground officially. We don't have boots on the ground, since, but I mean, we're still in Iraq, and didn't I mean he signed a number of executive orders that allowed for massive bombings on both Syria and Iraq to go after
Mm,
ISIS. ISIS.
yeah, the nameless boogeyman with a thousand faces. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter if it's
exactly.
ISIS or, you know, Al Qaeda or, you know,
Yeah.
billion names for different for a fractured organizations with the
Hmm.
same perspective.
Well, I mean, you know what they say, man. It's either, I mean, ISIS has to be the CIA and Al Nusra has to be the FBI, right?
Yeah, it's right there
And
in Syria.
right there in Syria. So, I mean, so what does that make the Houthi regime in Yemen and the Yemenis rebels and Saudi Arabia and all that just assets of the CIA?
They're collateral damage.
They're just collateral damage. They're just people in the way.
Looking
I mean,
men looking for a reason to fight.
hmm And really, I mean, we create our own enemies. And
Yeah,
but the thing with Trump, I mean, he's just like he did nothing good as president for this country. I'm sorry. He advanced protectionist policies. He basically pushed the Republican Party back to the brink of the old world 19th century protectionist America first uh idea. So I mean, impose federalism here, nowhere else.
yeah,
And yeah, I mean, and then so beyond that, Trump, who cares? But I will say one good thing that he did do. Well, actually, I guess two things. One, he gave us entertainment. Two, at least we didn't have Hillary Clinton become president, right? Those
yeah,
are his two accomplishments, entertainment and Hillary Clinton to become president in 2016. Instead, we got Joe Biden in 2020,
yeah.
which might as well be Barack Obama 2.0 because Joe
We all
Biden
know
is,
he's pulling the strings
yeah,
behind the scenes.
yeah. I mean, Joe Biden, I mean, wasn't even a he wasn't even a vice president you really wanted. It's just it was like Bush Cheney reversed when we got Obama and uh and Biden in 2008. The difference was is the president finally became president again, and the vice president was just ceremonial,
Yeah,
just a ceremonial facade. Whereas, I mean, with Bush, you obviously know Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld and Paul Wolfowitz and all of them motherfuckers were pulling the strings behind his back. George
yeah.
Bush was a dumb motherfucker. Well, Joe Biden's strings are being pulled. He's
See,
he's out of his mind. He's obviously full blown Alzheimer's. I mean, a man's almost 80 years old.
yeah. Well, see, this is what happens when you develop divergence. Just what happens when you didn't get Al Gore in office.
Exactly.
None of
And
this would have happened if Al Gore made election in 2000.
If Al Gore would have made would have been elected, uh,
China would have
I,
collapsed by now.
yeah,
Russia,
China,
Russia would have been fully capitalist. Taiwan would have taken over China.
it's
It's true.
it's
We would have never been in Iraq.
yeah, we would have been instead of Iraq, we would have been in North Korea, and Al Gore would have killed Kim Jong Il with his bare hands and climate change and the
Yeah,
internet.
.com.
Hmm
And we wouldn't have
See,
this conflict with the FBI. You know, actually, maybe it's a good thing that we're having this conflict. Al Gore didn't win because now we're going to have conflict with the FBI, and they're going to be abolished because they were founded as a criminal organization against the average citizen, anyways. So,
they were.
I
I mean, it
mean,
wasn't
realistically, why do they need federal police in the 20s? The mob police
the
could have,
mob.
the cities could have taken care of that. Even state police could have taken care of that. They didn't need, Federal
Mhm.
Bureau of Investigation.
But they used the argument of corruption.
Yeah,
The mob were
right.
buying local cops. It's like the mob bought federal cops. I mean, when the
Yeah.
mafia
What's the
became the true
difference?
mafia, so what's the difference? I mean, you're the
At this
mafia.
point, what difference does it make?
It doesn't. It makes no difference. The fact of the matter
I
is
hate
the
it.
FBI was created to consolidate power for political measure.
Yeah,
That's all it was. I mean, and it's no fallacy that the Bureau of Investigation first started out of it didn't even start the Department of Justice what didn't even exist when the BOI came into existence, right?
yeah.
I believe it was off of the Treasury Department because the federal government could only enforce Treasury asset. Yeah, they could
Related
only
crimes.
they could only you finished it for me right there. They could only no, I mean it's only
Yeah,
revenue based. So why is it that the FBI has expanded power? Well, it's because of J. Edgar
and
Hoover.
you got FBI agents and all in every
Mm,
different country. What's the point of that? I thought the CIA was supposed to, take care of shit outside the United States. Well, guess not.
I guess not. Yeah, But I mean, and that's how it was set up. Like, I mean, and look at how the FBI was able to consolidate its power through blackmail, corruption, and and just dirty dealings. I mean, they go after regular everyday individuals more so than anything. Some of them trying to make a difference, some of them in the limelight, most of them not. But the fact it is they started as a political arm, specifically post World War II during the early era of the Cold War, to uh to round up proclaimed communists. They were used to dismantle dissidents that were against basically the racial segregated policies of the government, um I mean during the civil rights movement, to discredit individuals within the civil rights movement. They I mean they were utilized to get rid of their biggest competitor, the Italian mafia. I mean, they expanded off of that, especially with the implication of the RICO Acts in the late 70s. I mean, it just goes on and on there. Now you have the aspect of counter-terror with the war on terrorism. They're a political wing that goes after whomever one side deems an enemy. It doesn't matter who. When it all comes down to it, they are a police arm, just like the People's Liberation Army of China is the personal militia of the Communist Party. The FBI is the personal private army, private security force, murderers for the Democrats and the Republican parties of the United States of America.
Yeah. But we have to have the gun because somebody needs to build the roads.
Somebody has to build the roads. I mean,
Yeah.
if we don't have roads and we don't have the
Roads built
enforcement
with
of
blood.
yeah, I mean, how are we going to function as a society?
Yeah. We live in a Christian nation, right? You know, they say that it's not an official religion. A majority of the country, it's it, if you want to consider it by the relative strength of the religious perspective, is Christian.
Mm-hmm.
How do we live in a Christian nation where all our choices and decisions are made through violence? You don't have right. You don't have the right to your own emotional opinions or your own logical opinions because as long as there's that the laws on the books and people willing to enforce them because they can't handle people having other perspectives,
Mm-hmm.
they're just gonna resort to violence and you know, oh well, God forgave me because I needed to kill that person because the laws on the book said so, even though the laws in the Bible say completely different things.
Mm-hmm. And Ludwig von Mises had it right when he talks about what the market can do for society. In order to be a free society with the absence of so much aggression and so much violence, we have to allow the market to articulate itself. We don't need regulation. We don't need the government intervening. We don't need a central bank. We don't need a bunch of alphabet police, federal, state, or local. We don't need, I mean, people are going to be people. Individuals can compete with one another. Individuals can cooperate with one another, and they all can cooperate within the marketplace. And that is where capitalism succumbs over socialist policy. I mean, it's no fallacy that socialism leads into a police state, and that's what we're seeing. And I mean, the hell with Trump getting fucking raided for some fucking bullshit documents that he held over after his presidency, 2 years after he was defeated. Who cares? Fuck Donald Trump. What about the FBI and the ATFs? Where's the call for destruction of the FBI and the ATF after they botched their attempt in capturing David Koresh all because they wanted to just murder people. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but the ATF had David Koresh right on their lockdown just a few days before they decided to lay siege, go shoot a couple dogs, and then burn down an entire compound that killed women, elderly, women, men, children, everybody, including David Koresh, by the way. But David Koresh probably shot himself because he's a coward. But I mean, look at Ruby Ridge. I mean, what was the aspect of that raid? I mean, with the FBI. I mean, it's just it's the government forcing you to capitulate to the parameters of what the government dictates our society should be.
Yeah.
I mean, so the hell with Donald Trump, but the element is out in the open. The fact is Donald Trump was raided by the FBI, and it's seen by his constituents, his following, his supporters, and those on the right, or as Michael Malice would say, the new right. Um, it's seen as a way of saying this is it. The FBI needs to be dismantled.
Mm.
They are obviously a politically corrupt, connected uh, function of the government that chooses whom they're going to do their dealings for and who they're going to do their dealings with and how they're going to enforce federal law. And in
Yeah.
reality, honestly, if you were ever a true libertarian, you've wanted the FBI dismantled since you were fucking born, or at least reborn within the political or apolitical element. You want all police fucking destroyed because I mean the element of the police is just a tool of the state to enforce the state's
The second.
idea of society. Look at that beautiful castle in the sky.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy, everyone.
Not the Studio Ghibli film either. I have a well, I don't know if it's gonna show up. I got a book on the CIA called Legacy of Ashes.
Oh,
If there's if there's no corruption, why is there a book this thick on their history and their corruption? There's been networks between the inter agencies that were running pedophile rings.
mm-hmm.
Okay, this isn't something like, oh, we're totally clean and sober, and we do everything by the book and everything. Just there's corruption through and through,
Mm-hmm.
and it needs to be dissolved. So
Speaking of pedophile rings and the CIA, I mean that's most likely why Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. He was yeah, he wasn't a big
yeah,
name financier. Everybody, he was most likely an asset of the CIA,
yeah,
and it's starting to unravel. But we don't have any of the sources, the source material to prove it. So, I mean, it is
you
what it
know
is.
that
It's just,
every agency destroys all the evidence behind them.
of course they do. I mean, the CIA wouldn't be able to exist at this point in history if they didn't destroy evidence.
Yeah,
The FBI has to destroy evidence
yeah,
or at least redact it to the point where you can't read it. I mean, that's another thing. You don't have to destroy when you're the government and when you're the deep state, the alphabet police, you don't even have to destroy the evidence. You just redact it so much to where it's not even attainable in your reading comprehension. You can't see anything. It's all blacked out.
yeah.
So, I mean,
And then
the
the backup
evidence.
plan is that you litigate things so much that the people that are bringing the charges can't financially continue to bring the charges, and they're forced to capitulate because you have a monopoly on the money supply.
Mhm. And
So
this is why we advocate so much for Bitcoin Cash and the crypto market because that's how we're gonna beat these motherfuckers.
yeah,
We gotta counter them with the money supply because I mean the FBI isn't going anywhere. Everybody, they're not
yeah,
going to they're not going to shut down the FBI. Are you serious?
yeah,
No, that's not gonna happen. And don't blame Democrats and don't blame Republicans. You fucking liberals. You conservatives, you're fucking liberals.
Yeah.
Socialists.
Liberals who drive the speed limit, according to Michael Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
a very good quote. So, you
Michael
know,
Malice is a hero.
Mike, Max Turner put it, the state calls its own violence law without the individual crime. It
Mm-hmm.
states everything that the state does, you can point back if they try to charge you with something with their agents doing the same exact thing. And
Oh yeah.
you know, Ludwig von Mises, one of my favorite quotes is from him. He was talking about Mises earlier. Was corruption is a regular effective intervention.
Yep.
So people say that people are corrupt. Well, yeah, we're humans. Everybody's corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the purposeful intention of your actions and those counterparty that create risk and conflict that
Mm-hmm.
create inspire the growth of corruption. So everything that
And
the CIA and the FBI try to counteract, and, and it just doesn't work out. It just actually
mm-mm.
grows conflict.
Yeah, and that's the thing with these institutions is these institutions, they're made up of individuals. And as you said, human beings, we're all human. We're not perfect. We have a corrupted nature. We can choose to uh, follow a path of corruption and sin. And we are all greedy in some capacity. We're all narcissistic in some capacity. And so why do you have these corrupted, evil institutions that feast on the sanctity of human life and try to wreck all of the rest of us to consolidate their power? Well, it's because there's humans that are in that void, and the
Yeah.
government itself is within its own enacted market. They have their own little bubble. Yeah, they've restricted they attempt to restrict the free market on the outside, but the free market is alive and well within the parameters of the state, and especially within the alphabet or deep state market. I mean, they
Yeah.
compete against each other all the time. They want to be the best. They want to be the top dog within the
Mm,
intelligence community, and so that's why you have the FBI using their assets in Syria against the CIA with their assets in Syria. That's why the CIA is completely involved in a number of secret shadow wars that are proxies on the surface all over the world, whether it's Yemen or Somalia
mm,
or anything.
yeah.
That's why the CIA and the FBI trained Al Qaeda. I mean, really, and it's quite that's the reason why the Al Qaeda is an asset of the CIA originally. The FBI was trained to go after Al Qaeda. Well, what do you think that is? That's the market at work right there. That's the
Mhm.
CIA doing their business and the FBI doing their business, and it's a big old cat and mouse. So
Yeah.
they're all competing against each other, and they're all trying to do one another, and at the same time, they're all working with one another,
Yeah.
and they're all individuals that are just as corrupted as all of us can be. But Mises had it right. As long as you have a purposeful meaning behind your corruption, that makes it a little bit better because I mean, when it comes to capitalism, when it comes to the market, that's the means of voluntary cooperation and exchange and the consumer choice. That's 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 the purpose and the meaning. That's the
Yeah.
way of people trying being able to compete so they don't get fucked over in the end.
Yeah.
Hey, get a load of this, folks. It says here, a constant menace to pilots are the gremlins who wreck planes with their diabolical sabotage. Gremlins. Oh, murder. Gremlins. What a fairy tale. Little man. Oh, brother. What's all the hubbub? Bub.
These blockbuster bombs don't go off unless you hit them just right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hey, Mac. Let me take a whack at it. What am I doing? Why, you little... Gasp? Hey, I bet that was a... Say, do you think that... Hey, could that have been a... Kremlin? It ain't Vendel Vilkey! Well, did you hit the head of one of them?
Just like Ohio State's gonna butt fuck Michigan this year for
Yeah.
vengeance in Columbus. Oh wait,
Yeah.
yeah, we're coming for you, Jimmy Harbs. You and your pocket hot dogs.
Hopefully this year the Bengals do better and we can avenge Harambe. I miss you,
Hey,
Harambe.
the Bengals. Speaking of NFL football, the Bengals did well last year. They surpassed expectations. They were
Yeah.
just their expectation was to get better, and they ended up winning the division. They ended up going all the way as a wild card team to making a historic run into the Super Bowl, and they worked. They played pretty hard in the Super Bowl. I mean, it's hard when your quarterback gets sacked. Like, how many times did Joe Burrow? Oh, God, I think he got sacked like 13 times, and like 9 of them was Darnold. Jesus Christ! I mean, you can't win a Super Bowl without an offensive line. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
especially with a defense like that with the Los Angeles Rams. Good for California, though, man. At least there's something good out of California.
Yeah. That's none of my business.
But that's not yeah. So, but hopefully the Bengals can do it. I'm a Browns fan, but I'm rooting for
Yeah.
the Cincinnati Bengals because they're the hometown team. I'm from Cincinnati,
Yeah.
so I'm just
I'm
a
from the
Cleveland fan.
Yeah, I'm from the greater Cincinnati area too.
So, but hopefully they can do it because I think they definitely have the team. They didn't look like it in their first preseason game, but they weren't playing the people that they're going to be playing during the season.
Yeah.
And it's preseason. Who cares? So,
Well, now we got this
that's
mixed up with CIA, but oh well. It happens.
I have no clue. They're adding some positive to some negative confluence.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets depressing and sad when you're talking about the deep state and the alphabet police and the corrupt government and the anti-market status. It's like that just, I mean, that you gotta have humor. You gotta have something positive to look forward to. And my positive is September 1st, Ohio State, Notre Dame. God damn, that's gonna be a great game. Gonna be Marcus Freeman's first first regular season game as a head coach. I like to see what he can do. I like to see our new defensive coordinator Jim Knowles that we poached out of Oklahoma State. See what he can do with this turnaround with our defense. Bring the silver bullets back.
Yeah.
Can't wait. I mean, our offense is going to be outstanding, but I'm waiting to see what the defense looks like, especially after last year's defensive debacle. So, college football season, and you're gonna see a lot of references of Ohio State and college football in general, because I am Buckeye Zach, and it is college football season, and that makes the legacy right more happier when there's more to do with this political bullshit.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a big sports guy. I used to be into sports when I was a kid, but kind of grew out of it. Now I'm just doing lots of research all the time. So
Well, I mean, if you're not into sports, I mean, during the summer on ESPN, if you're in the cornhole, you can watch cornhole.
cornholio.
Cornholio.
Are you kidding me? Yeah. Okay. So here's a little bit of a humorous story I can tell you. Just about the time. A couple years ago, I was going to McDonald's and I did my legendary impersonation of Beavis, and I was like, "Yeah, I'd like to order whatever." And then I was like, "This sucks. I'm going back to the burger world." I don't care. I'll embarrass myself for humor. It doesn't matter if it's in front of people, just by myself.
Was Hank Hill behind you?
Well, I'll tell you what, this line is taking forever.
Yeah. Now, how about SpongeBob?
I can't do SpongeBob.
Oh, damn. Squidward?
Sorry. I can do Squidward not very well.
Why don't you try it?
Why must every 11 minutes of my life be constant torture? There you go.
Because the government wants your 11 minutes. Now hand it over.
Oh, they just wanted me to be sitting on their lap all the time.
If it's not on their lap, if you don't sit on their lap, they're going to send 87,000 new IRS agents with AR-15s to your house to force you on their laps.
Oh, okay. Well, like the sign says, it's theirs.
They can have it. They can have it. So they can have you on their lap?
I can't really stop them if they're going to come and, violate my rights. They're going to violate my rights.
That is true. That is true. That is true. Sort of like how Bill Clinton violates rights all the time.
Yeah.
Especially when he was governor of Arkansas.
Yeah, or, what is it? 100+ people that they mysteriously have found shotgun shells to the back of their head in the woods.
Hey.
Oh,
nobody
we're not
knows
supposed
that.
to talk about that.
We're not. No, there's no evidence. Those were all
What
suicides.
What about the Army general or whatever or maybe it was one of the top brass in Washington D.C. during the Obama administration that they found in the dumpster? I'm not supposed to talk about that either. Or maybe during the Trump administration when in Las Vegas when the sheriff disappeared after that shooting at that one place with the hurricane-proof glass in the music concert. We're not supposed to talk about that. Everything's okay. Everything's okay.
Everything's fine.
Behold the pale horse.
It's not that the Clinton Foundation is actually the shadow government.
Yeah.
No, they're just a segment of it.
Yeah.
The real shadow is the Bilderbergs.
I thought it was just that one guy in that one video game about the Sons of Liberty or whatever. Metal Gear Solid 2. He says he's the president, but he's actually just an actor. That's what it says in the video game. They're just, it's just Hollywood productions.
Hold up. That's right. He does say he's an actor.
Yeah.
What a coincidence. Hi, Zelensky. It's all a work. Why do you think he's the president in a regime of a movie that he actually made based on the same goddamn thing?
Mm. Welcome to the madhouse. I used to have that Joker poster.
Hmm.
It's a real madhouse.
Well,
We
everybody,
don't
if you
have any
if
rights. There's no
mm-mm,
rights as long as there's one monopoly and one supply. Everyone knows that in a free society there are two money supplies. That's
sex
why,
and drugs.
well, I guess that counts, but that's why JFK he bit the bullet, so to speak. He was trying to
Because of
introduce a second money supply.
the sex.
Yeah. Is that what happened to Marilyn Monroe? I don't know. I just work here. That was
I
before
just
my time. It
yeah.
wasn't my shift.
Mm-mm. No, I was on break.
Mm, yeah, but don't worry. The FBI isn't corrupt.
Mm-mm.
That's why conservatives are pro FBI and pro police because they're coming to take away your rights.
Mm-hmm.
That's the ghost story. They're coming to take away your guns
Mm-hmm.
by limiting the ammunition supply. Why would
So
they take
there
your guns when they can censor the ammunition supply? That's the question.
exactly. Exactly. They
I
really
don't
they
know.
yeah. Mm. So and that's where we're at. To all you conservative supporters who love thy country. I mean, that's where it's at. Do you really support the status quo? Because that's what conservatism truly means. I mean, you support the status
Conserve the
quo.
culture as it is
Yeah.
and try to prevent it from falling into quicksand.
Mm-hmm.
Once it's in quicksand, it's impossible for you to be able to safely get out
Mm-hmm.
because you're slowly sinking.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So, in the words of Triple H and Shawn Michaels, for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching or listening at home, are you ready?
to suck it,
Because you're about to suck it. This has
well,
been this
in the
has been a
words,
disclaimer. Yeah,
in the
this has been a
words of Lysander Spooner, there could be no criminal intent in resisting injustice.
hold up. I just watched the video of Kirk Barton getting arrested for felonious assault of a cop. I guess so. He was allowed to do that.
Yeah, just like that guy in like Oklahoma that was trying to protect the property rights of his vehicle
Mm-hmm.
and was arguing with the cops and they wouldn't leave him alone. Then he took his gun and he shot
Mm-hmm.
him because they were violating his rights. And he said, leave me alone," and they wouldn't stop. Now
Mm-hmm.
he's on trial for murder of a police officer. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. All because he resisted. No, don't get me wrong. Kirk Barton, unlike this guy, Kirk Barton's a douchebag, but regardless, fuck the police.
Buffalo.
Hmm. That's some good tea.
So, don't forget to check us on Hunter Biden's crack house. It's on
Where you
Telegram.
can where you can donate in Bitcoin Cash if you prefer. Voluntary, of course. We won't force you yet.
Yeah, we're not the CIA or the FBI or the deep state or the swamp or the central bank or the state or the city. We're just a place.
Or Donald Trump's underpants. That's what you gotta be scared of. Donald Trump's
more-
underpants.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm more
Feet of
concerned
powder.
with, yeah. You can also check us out on Twitter, send us a DM, give us a follow, come check us out. And who knows? You DM us. Maybe you get up on the show. Let us hear your perspective of why the FBI and the CIA and the deep state and the swamp and the state and the central bank and the Saudis and the Bushes and the Obamas and the Trumps and the Clintons and the
And the Chinese.
and the
sorry.
Russians.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about. We're not supposed to talk. China.
We can't. We'll get censored by YouTube.
Yeah.
And we're trying to grow here.
Yeah.
Sorry, YouTube. China is fantastic. I love Xi Jinping. Such a good,
I like
glorious
champagne.
man.
I just don't drink alcohol. Anyways, this is the Legacy Right. He's Buckeye_Zach on Twitter. I'm at AIConan90. Hit us
Whoa.
up. If you want to join us, let us know.
Whoa. I'm Legacy_Zach. I am Buckeye Zach. I
My
am
bad.
the legacy of Buckeye Zach. September 1st. Go Bucks. We're going to beat the Irish.
Peace.
Peace.